Stephen in Palm Coast. Stephen, how are things in Palm Coast?
I'm in Section R for people that are curious. And it's windy. I thought by watching the news last night we'd get it about 2 o'clock, but it's been hitting pretty strong.
Okay.
My question is, I was expected to come from the southeast, and my north side of my house is taking a pounding. There's nothing coming from where I thought it would come from. Do you have any idea of why I'm getting all my strong wind from the north?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm no meteorologist, but if you look at the hurricane and the way it is, the winds are spinning basically counterclockwise. So as the hurricane moves up, the winds are coming around the top, and that's why they're coming in from the north and beating your house. In fact, I was watching some of the Weather Channel the other day, and basically what happened was they illustrated that same thing. Because of the spiral nature of it, the winds spin like a clock. And that's why they're coming in. That's why they're coming in through the north side. And until the hurricane eye passes your area, that's the way it's going to be. But a great question. Thanks so much for asking. We go back to Tim Tompkins right now with another update from our traffic center. What's up, Tim?
Yeah, taking a look at the bridge closures right now to give you guys an update. All the bridges leaving the beaches are closed and they will remain closed. This includes Wonderwood, Atlantic Beach, Butler, as well as Palm Valley Road. In the Jacksonville area, the Dames Point Bridge is also closed in both the directions right now. In St. John's, all St. John's bridges are closed, including the Bridge of Lions and the Shands Bridge. If you are in the Mandarin area, though, the Julington Creek Bridge is open right now. Taking a look at your wind speeds crossing over the Buckman, they're really not all that bad. But in the downtown area, wind speeds are increasing, crossing over both the Acosta and the Main Street Bridge. They're getting a little bit above 20 miles an hour right now. With Jacksonville's most frequent traffic, I'm Tim Tompkins.
All right. Thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. We're going to get another update for you here in just a moment. We're going to keep checking in with the First Alert Weather Center and the meteorologists over there and more of your phone calls. I know a lot of people are without power now. A lot of people listening to the radio for their updates, for their information. And not only can you get information, but you can give it to us as well. Help some others out. 340-1045 is the number. 340-1045. Quick break. We're going to have news. We're going to have the forecast. We'll have more with Tim Tompkins, and we'll have more information for you coming up in just a minute. I'm Mark Kay. You're listening to News 104.5 WOKV.
Grab a battery-powered radio in case your cell phone battery dies on 104.5 FM for around-the-clock information on recovery and power outages. This is where Jacksonville turns News 104.5 WOKV.
Wakeoff's AC brings you the 5-day forecast. When your AC breaks, they get there fast.
Fall in Jacksonville is pretty much like late summer across much of the rest of the country. So while we're all waiting for the weather to finally cool down, here's a breath of fresh air. How about fall rental rates as low as $19.99 a day from Arlington Toyota and the Toyota Rent-A-Car program? Yeah, Arlington does more than just sell Toyotas new and used. They rent them. It's called the Toyota Rent-A-Car program. And with rates as low as $19.99 a day, it's the best way to try it before you buy that new Toyota that you've been eyeing for so long. Or if you're planning a trip for the upcoming holiday season, ride in a sporty, comfortable ride with room for the whole family. Rent a 5-passenger RAV4 as low as $34.99 a day. You can get off-road and rent a big and rugged 5-passenger Toyota Tundra for $49.99 a day. And a Camry, right now you can rent a Toyota Camry at Arlington for just $29.99 a day. These deals are really cool. As low as $19.99 a day now at Arlington Toyota, thanks to the Toyota Rent-A-Car program. Head online and book your rental now at arlingtontoyota.com. See dealer for detail.
News 104.5, Jacksonville's 24-hour news, weather, and traffic. The home of the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes. On air, online, and now on every device. With the News 104.5 WOKV app, Jacksonville's news starts now.
It is noon. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. This is time for Jacksonville's news at noon. Obviously, with Hurricane Matthew, we're doing things a little bit differently today, but we are going to be updating that storm. Starting right now, it's our top story. We're starting to feel the effects here on the first coast. Hurricane Matthew headed up the east coast of Florida right now. After slamming the Cape Canaveral area earlier this morning, the storm did downgrade to a Category 3 overnight. But Action News Jack's chief meteorologist Mike Burrish says the story remains the same.
This will still be a beating for the beaches in particular, with major beach erosion and waves that are going to break on and beyond the sand dune line. So the wave action will be serious, and with a good deal of flooding that'll push inland yet, especially at times of high tide.
And in St. Johns County, we're already seeing high wind speeds at Volano and St. Augustine Beach. Peak of the storm should be today between 2 and midnight. Make sure to download the free News 104.5 app where you can get push alerts keeping you updated on that storm through the day. And so one of the big things with this storm right now, we told you all morning long, wind speeds, if they hit up to 40 miles an hour, it starts closing bridges. And we're seeing some of those closures now. For all the latest bridge closures around Jacksonville, let's go now to Tim Tompkins, who's in the traffic center.
That's right. We are going to start out by the beaches. If you are out by the beaches, you cannot leave. All of the bridges heading to and leaving the beaches right now, they are closed in both directions. They will remain closed. This includes Wonderwood, Atlantic Beach, and Butler, as well as Palm Valley down in St. John's if you were planning on using that instead. Right now, over on the East Beltway, heading into or leaving Arlington, the Dames Point Bridge is also closed. In St. John's, all St. John's bridges are closed. That's including the Bridge Alliance down in St. Augustine, Shands. Like I said, the Palm Valley Road, giving you an update in the downtown area. Wind speeds are increasing, crossing over the downtown bridges, especially the Acosta and the Main Street Bridge. Right now, I'm seeing average wind speeds at about 22 miles an hour. Right now, the Buckman Bridge isn't looking too bad. You're only seeing wind speeds of about 13 miles an hour. But again, you cannot leave the beaches right now. All the intracoastal bridges are closed. With Jacksonville's most frequent traffic, I'm Tim Tompkins.
And things are starting to fall apart in St. Johns County as Hurricane Matthew gets closer. Our Robert Alonzo is live right now at the county's Emergency Operations Center.
And for those people who've been trying to call the St. John Citizens Information Line at 904-824-5550, here's why you're not getting through. Phone lines at the EOC went down just over an hour ago, which is where those calls were being routed. All the lines are down right now here. Just 5 minutes ago, a county spokesman told me it's a fiber optic issue through Comcast, and it's being repaired as I speak. There is no timetable right now to get the problem fixed, though. Anybody who has questions is being encouraged to contact the county through social media via Twitter, either at St. Johns County or at St. John's EOC. Over 20,000 FPL customers remain without power in St. John's, many along the barrier islands. Fire and police also set to stop responding to calls for help as Matthew rides up the Atlantic coastline. That's according to County Fire Captain Jeremy Robshaw.
If you are in a dire situation, certainly contact 911 or emergency services. There may come a point where we can't get to you, but we will certainly do everything we can to get to you.
Live from the St. Johns County Emergency Operations Center, Robert Alonzo, News 104.5 WOKV.
Breaking news first. This is continuing news from News 104.5 WOKV.
Up in Washington, President Obama getting a briefing on Matthew from FEMA and Homeland Security.
I think the bigger concern at this point is not just hurricane force winds, but storm surge. Many of you will remember Hurricane Sandy. Initially, people thought this doesn't look as bad as we thought. Then suddenly, you get massive storm surge.
He urged people to listen to the advice of local officials. And despite days of warning and even evacuation orders ahead of Matthew, some making the decision to stay, which includes this man in Volano Beach.
I wanted to stay here and look after my things and see if I can be of assistance when time comes. I know it's going to be rough out here, and I'm not trying to be a hero or anything. I just wanted to stay.
He tells us he knows of roughly 100 people who are doing the same thing. And it's not just businesses and schools. Hurricane Matthew is shutting down much of the campaign operations for both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
American University professor James Thurber says the candidates need to show compassion to those in the area over the coming days.
A storm comes in, you have tragedy. The last thing they want is somebody knocking on your door saying, won't you vote for Hillary or won't you vote for Trump?
The storm comes 1 month before Election Day. In Washington, George Colley, News 104.5 WOKV.
And some sad news coming out of St. Lucie County. We're hearing a 58-year-old woman has died in what's being considered Florida's first storm-related death. According to St. Lucie first responders, the woman had a heart attack overnight, but the call came in after emergency crews had already suspended operations for the night. WOKV News Time is 12:05. We're about an hour and a half away from peak impact of Hurricane Matthew here in Jacksonville. We're going to give you the latest conditions on the road for anybody that's still out there. And Mark Hayes is going to be back with more Hurricane Matthew coverage next.
Join our Storm Center team. Download the News 104.5 app. Tap the open mic button, press record, and tell us the weather conditions in your area. This is Storm Center team coverage on News 104.5 WOKV.
How many times have you seen a Harley-Davidson motorcycle pass by and think to yourself, I'd like to ride that bike? Well, now's your chance when the HD demo truck rolls into Adamek Harley-Davidson of Jacksonville, October 21st and 22nd. Free test rides, including your chance to experience the new 107 Milwaukee 8 engine on all new 2017 touring models. Adamek Harley-Davidson. Ride one, ride them all. And don't miss Jacksonville's only police-escorted night ride, Light the City, October 7th. Tickets available now at all Adamek locations. See dealer for details or visit AdamekHarley.com.
NMLS 7168. I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding, and I'd like to invite Jacksonville real estate agents to visit our new operations center to learn how RP Funding is able to offer no lender fees and a $1,000 on-time closing guarantee.
I'm CC Underwood with Keller Williams. I recently toured RP Funding Jacksonville's office and I was blown away. If you're a real estate agent and you care about your friends and clients, I recommend you check them out.
To schedule your tour, call Alyssa at 904-549-6400. That's 904-549-6400.
If you have a backyard, we can put a pool in it. All Seasons Pools, we can put a pool in it.
Go to allseasonspools.com today to design the custom pool perfect for your backyard. That's allseasonspools.com now.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/start. That's ZipRecruiter.com/start.
The WOKV First Alert Forecast.
A 1 on the WOKV weather meter. A hurricane warning is in effect. High winds and heavy rain spreading south to north today with temperatures near 80 degrees. High and damaging winds early tonight with heavy rain, then diminishing winds with the rain ending after midnight. Lows near 75. Clearing skies just in time for your weekend. It'll be breezy and mild with highs in the low to mid 80s both Saturday and Sunday. With your First Alert Forecast, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for News 104.5 WOKV.
Now the latest from the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
If you're out at the beaches, you cannot leave. All of the Jacks Beach intercoastal bridges are closed, including the Wonderwood Bridge and Palm Valley Road down in St. John's. And another heads up that the Dames Point Bridge on the East Beltway is closed in both directions and will remain closed until further notice. And if you're in St. John's, be aware that all bridges in St. John's, including Bridge of Lions, Shands, and Palm Valley, are closed. With Jacksonville's most frequent traffic, I'm Ariel Wysocki.
Now, the 3 big things you need to know.
3.
Prepare for impact. The First Coast will likely see the greatest effects from Hurricane Matthew starting at about 2 this afternoon until midnight tonight.
2.
Billions of dollars in damage. It's what experts are anticipating the damage to be from Hurricane Matthew.
1.
And they have more than 2,300 animals to care for. 20 Jacksonville Zoo staff members are riding out that storm to keep the animals safe. It's 12:08. I'm Kevin Rayfuse.
This is continuing team coverage of Hurricane Matthew on News 104.5 WOKV.
And my name is Mark Kay. Thank you so much. I'm sitting in Rich's chair while he takes a little bit of a break. He'll be back in a little while with more information as we are getting near the worst impact, about an hour away from Jacksonville. About 2 o'clock is what they're calling for maximum impact. The storm still moving up the north coast of Florida, and it's headed our way. St. Augustine, as we just talked to Mike Burrish, and he mentioned, of course, that there is flooding there. And if you don't have power, if you're not watching television, you're listening on the radio, there is massive flooding in St. Augustine. It is devastating. It is a disaster area. The streets are just filled with water. Several businesses seeing water past about halfway up their doorways, and that is not even the worst of it. There will be more rising water. The storm surges that were the concern that everyone was concerned with and that everyone was talking about, absolutely. Positively seem to be the big story today and seem to be causing the most damage and will continue to cause the most damage as this thing continues. Speaking of damage, there's a gallery. A lot of people are sending in their photos. We appreciate it. We know that looking out and seeing a tree in your backyard, the last thing you're probably thinking of is, I have to send a picture to the radio station. But people are doing that. And we're putting together a gallery right now of some of the damage that people are seeing, the downed trees, power lines, other property damage around the area. That's going to be up on our website, WOKV.com. Also, if you follow us on Facebook, you'll be able to see it there too. So you can follow News 104.5 WOKV on Facebook. If you still got power or access to your cell phone, then please by all means share those images with us so that we can get them out and also let people know kind of just how dangerous this storm is and how dangerous this storm is becoming. As far as power outages go, they are growing in number as we expected as this hurricane gets closer and closer. Now, south of St. Augustine and a lot of people in St. Johns County have been without power for quite a while. FPL, Florida Power and Light, reporting a lot of outages as early as 3 a.m. we heard from some of our listeners, but it's been going throughout the morning. People losing power periodically up and down the coast. JEA, as I checked the outage map, has huge outages in the Nocatee area. Nocatee, I believe, was in one of those evacuation areas. However, if you decided to stay in Nocatee, you are experiencing power outages. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that because you're there. But for everyone else, just know that that is one of the areas that has been affected. In the Mandarin area, the western tip of Mandarin, right along the St. Johns River, about 1,200 people without power. And on the near the beaches, just north of Atlantic Boulevard, and then between Atlantic Boulevard and the Beach Boulevard, kind of right along right along Hodges, there are a couple of outages right along the intercoastal there as well. So far, so good for the rest of the area. If you are experiencing a power outage, or if you see any kind of damage or anything, then just know what's going on. Then you can give us a call and let us know what's going on. 340-1045. We'll be checking in here in just a few minutes with our Action News Jack's meteorologist to monitor the wind speeds and the flooding. The bridges, again, don't forget, bridges are closed. Most of them. The majority of the bridges are closed. You cannot get to the beach. All of the beach bridges are closed. All of the St. Johns County bridges are closed, including the Bridge of Lions. The Dames Point Bridge, also closed. This is the situation that we have. There is no getting out to the beach at this time. If you've hunkered down at the beach, you are there for the duration. A couple of these bridges they're closing these bridges for a couple of reasons. Number one, wind speeds. The Dames Point Bridge, the wind speeds are upwards of 45 miles per hour. A couple of the other bridges, it's a flooding concern, debris, and also some down power lines as well. Down power line on the Intercoastal Bridge off of Beach Boulevard, and that's the reason that one is closed. So you're going to want to avoid any of those at all. Also, you should keep in mind that if you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anywhere. Just stay where you are, and hopefully you'll be able to get some shelter after the storm. We have someone on line one. Let's talk to them here. Gabby, thank you so much for calling WOKV. Gabby, where are you?
My name is Debbie. I'm in the P section of Palm Coast.
Okay, and how are things there in Palm Coast?
They're getting a little wild, and I want to share with you what's going on our street.
Yeah, please do.
Put it on Facebook. We actually have a tree that is dangling in the middle of the street from two power lines.
Okay.
And it looks like they're about to snap. We let FPL know, and there's some live lines in the street. So we've put it on our Facebook to make sure, like, anybody that's in this section that would be out doesn't drive through it or walk through it. There was a kid that walked barefoot, and I don't know, he's got a guardian angel somewhere that saved him, but he wasn't paying attention. So that's another reason to not go outside when they say don't go outside, and to be aware if you are going to be outside,
right,
what's going on.
Yeah, and people, hey, thanks so much for your call. We really appreciate the update, and we hope you stay safe. And people do tend to wander out in the storm and during the storm and even after the storm through these puddles. Don't do that, because you do not have any idea what's waiting for you underneath. It could be a power line. It could be some kind of debris. It could be some kind of animal that you just don't want to step on. It could be all kinds of things. The best place to be right now is inside, and then after the storm, added precaution as well. Okay, we're going to go now live to our First Alert Weather Center, CBS 47, Fox 30 First Alert meteorologist Garrett Biedenbaugh is with us. Hi, Garrett. How are you?
Hey, Mark. How's it going?
Good. First time I've gotten to talk to you today.
Yeah, I got a few claps of the old eyelids overnight, but that's about it.
All right. Now, when we talked to Mike last hour, the big story was St. Augustine. I imagine that's probably still the big story.
It is, and we're continuing to monitor, and we've been showing live images from St. Augustine as what is now the disaster beginning to unfold, especially with our water rise in St. Augustine. We've been telling you that will be one of the areas that is kind of hard hit with the potential storm surge as Matthew continues to move about 50 miles southeast of St. Augustine right now, the eye, but we're already seeing those intense rain bands, 50 to 60 plus miles per hour winds, and even a wind gust of 75 miles per hour. So that would be hurricane force wind gusts at the St. Augustine Pier. We've seen those water levels rise up to some of the first and second steps of the right at the bayfront businesses there in downtown St. Augustine. So that is the water rise, the storm surge beginning. We're expecting 9 feet in some locations. The worst case scenario, and high tide is about an hour away in St. Augustine, so still the potential for some water rise there. Also 6 to 9 feet over, say, the Jacksonville beach area is the potential for the storm surge, as well as 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts as Matthew gets close.
Now this storm is also, I mean, because when I woke up this morning, we all said, hey, the projection is it's not going to be as close to us as possible, and we're seeing all this damage with the storm a little further out than we anticipated. Is that right?
Well, and you got to remember, it's still a major hurricane.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit farther east of the track, but we're still getting the tropical storm force conditions, and we already had saturated soil due to the rain we've seen the past couple of days with our local nor'easter. Some spots, Mark, got 5-6 inches of rain in St. Johns County.
Yeah, I know, that was
the past
fun.
couple of days. So the wind will blow down things with that.
Okay, yeah, and then that's I think that's what we're seeing a lot of. We have a gallery up of damaged trees and things getting blown over, and it looks like they're not snapping, they're not breaking, they're just coming right up out of the ground because it has been so saturated. Looking forward through the weekend. Now, when are we looking for everything to, like, I think 2:00 here in Jacksonville, is that still on track for the worst case scenario?
Probably about a 3 to 5 would be our kind of at Jacksonville latitude with the eye just offshore, about 50 miles to 75 miles. So that's good news. But still, we'll have that water rise at the area beaches and along the intercoastal, 3 to 5 feet downtown Jacksonville and the St. Johns River potentially. So we'll have some flooding to deal with in the coming hours. And that will end by around midnight or so as winds shift to the west and drier air around the west side of the system continues to pour in. That'll be some good news. The weekend will be clearing up, but we'll likely have some damage to clean up as well.
Okay. All right. Garrett Biedenbaugh, we appreciate it, from CBS 47 Fox 30, the First Alert Weather Center. And we'll be checking in with them periodically throughout the day to make sure that we do have the most accurate and up-to-date forecast information as Matthew gets closer and closer and closer. And it is getting closer. It's still south of St. Augustine, about 50 miles from St. Augustine right now, as you heard. And then it will be coming up toward Jacksonville, that eye wall. But we are experiencing all the effects of it. We do have up on our Facebook page and up on our website, WOKV.com. You can check out the gallery of images that people are sending in. We do appreciate all of you taking the time to share those with us. 340-1045 is our number. If you have anything to report, whether it be a power outage or whether it be something in the roadway, something that people need to be concerned about, anything at all, we definitely are taking your calls as long as we can. A couple more power outages have popped up around the area. It appears that on the south side, it looks like we're getting some right around Southside Boulevard in the Deer Creek area. Some power outages as well, just south of Atlantic, just north of 295 and 95 where they intersect. So these power outages are popping up as these storms, become closer and closer to Jacksonville. We're going to start seeing some more issues with that as well. 340-1045 is the number. Again, the bridge is closed. St. Johns County and St. Augustine, really the big story right now. That's where we're seeing a lot of the flooding, that storm surge really pumping through. In fact, the storm tracker vehicle, First Alert Storm Tracker, just minutes ago, cruising through St. Augustine. I don't even know how they're doing it, but there are massive flooding in the streets of St. Augustine. The water just coming right over and getting into the streets and the businesses there in St. Augustine. We have Jill, who is somewhere. Oh, Jill may be gone. That's okay. We'll talk to somebody else as soon as they connect. But the hurricane's still 50 miles from St. Augustine, and we're seeing incredible damage and flooding there already. If you have any other information, if you have any other power outages or information that you could get us, by all means, 340-1045. We have currently the outlook is still the same as far as the track of this. You just heard Garrett talk about the time frame. Between 2 and 5 o'clock, between 3 and 5 o'clock is the worst of it. That's when the eye comes basically parallel with Jacksonville. And then throughout the evening, we're going to have a wild weather, wind storms, that kind of thing. Be careful for debris. Be careful for whatever is happening, in your area. And then tomorrow, throughout the weekend, it's going to start to lighten up. Mike Burr said a very, very pleasant, actually, weekend, which we're going to need to go out and assess the damage and begin cleanup. JEA crews will be working, they said, probably in the non-evacuation areas first, just because it's too much of a risk. Well, the bridges are closed now anyway, but it's too much of a risk for them to take their bucket trucks out to the areas that are affected by the beach. They need to stay kind of inland. They need to stay where they are so that they can get to the customers, who have not been evacuated first, and that they can access with their vehicles. Donald, thank you so much for calling WOKV. Where are you, Donald?
Down here in Watertown on State Road 13.
Uh-huh.
And they on the river down here, and it's just blowing, probably estimated 50 or more miles an hour with rain.
Wow, okay.
It's horrible here.
It's hard.
Electricity's been out for 3 hours. So
Man.
we have no juice. Yes, sir.
All right, well, you stay safe. You stay safe. We really appreciate it. We have to take a quick break. 340-1045. We'll have another check with news and your forecast and everything else coming up here in just a minute. My name's Mark Kay. You're listening to News 104.5 WOKV.
You're listening to Storm Center team coverage of Hurricane Matthew with updates from the National Hurricane Center and Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Jacksonville's severe weather station is News 104.5 WOKV.
Thinking of owning gold and silver? Should you trust the biggest dealer, the expert, the quote-unquote best deal, the paid celebrity? Get the facts. Stop paying high retail commissions. Do it right. Educate yourself before you buy. Call Goldworth. Discover what dealers don't want you to know. Request your guide free. 800-257-GOLD. 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 Or visit goldworth.com.
Wakeoff's AC brings you the 5-day forecast. When your AC breaks, they get there fast.
Hurricane Matthew is just another reason why you want Safe Touch security in your home. When a hurricane or any weather concern is a reason to evacuate, it's comforting to know Safe Touch security is still watching your home. Safe Touch Smart Home Security allows you to stay aware of what's happening at home, even when you're away. Safe Touch also has an emergency response team ready if a hurricane strikes. North Florida, Safe Touch Security has you covered before, during, and after the storm.
When you choose Safe Touch, you get so much more than an alarm system. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, President of Safe Touch Security Systems. Our family of skilled operators is always there for you and your family. Because it's important to you, it's important to us. Safe Touch Security protecting you and yours. All this personalized service starting as low as $1 a day.
Safe Touch, we're what real security's all about.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
The WOKV First Alert Forecast.
Heavy rain and high winds spreading south to north as Matthew makes its closest approach as we go through this afternoon and evening. A hurricane warning is in effect. It's a 1 on the WOKV weather meter with temperatures around 80 degrees. The highest winds and heaviest rain will end this evening from south to north, and temperatures dropping into the mid-70s. Clearing, breezy, and mild for your Saturday. We'll have highs into the low to mid-80s and a good-looking Sunday with sunshine and high temperatures between 80 and 85. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jack's Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for News 104.5 WOKV.
Now the latest from the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
I'll start this off with the current bridge closures. If you're out at Jack's Beach, you cannot leave anymore, and you should not be trying to leave. At this time, all of the intercoastal bridges are closed, including Beach, Atlantic, Butler, and Wonderwood. Also, a reminder that the Dames Point Bridge is now closed as well in both directions on the East Beltway and will remain closed. All St. John's bridges are closed, and this includes Bridge of Lions, Shands, and Palm Valley. We'll continue giving you frequent updates as we get more information on those closures and any flooding. Make sure you stick with us and enable those push notifications through the News 104.5 app. With Jacksonville's most frequent traffic, I'm Ariel Wysocki.
We're here when you need us. Starting every day with the latest breaking news, plus weather and traffic every 6 minutes on Jacksonville's Morning News with Rich Jones. And around-the-clock Hurricane Matthew coverage. This is Jacksonville's severe weather station, News 104.5 WOKV.
And I'm Mark Kay. I'm in for Rich Jones, and we are talking all about Matthew, of course, as it's heading closer and closer. About 60 miles from about 75 miles now from Jacksonville Beach is where the eye is located. And the storm surges and the swells coming up in St. Augustine, St. Johns County, and as it heads toward Duval County, you'll see some of it there. Dramatic video, if you follow us on Twitter, of some of these storm surges affecting neighborhoods and some of the downed trees and other damage. We've got a whole gallery, as a matter of fact, on our website right now, WOKV.com, so you can check that out. And our phone lines are open. I know a lot of people are without power. They're listening to us on a battery-powered radio, or they're streaming us on their cell phone, or whatever. If you've got our downloadable app, we appreciate that. And you can call as well and get us whatever information you have. 340-1045. Jeff is in St. Johns County, which has been the worst hit so far. Jeff, how are things where you are?
Well, I'm here at the in the World Golf Village area of St. Augustine in St. Johns County at the Passetti Road and Mirabella neighborhood and King and the Bear neighborhood entrances, and there's a huge gas line breakout here. We have the St. Johns County Sheriff's, St. Johns County Hazmat team, and Fire and Rescue out here. They've blocked the road between Passetti Road and Passetti Bay Middle School, where there's they have a storm shelter down there. But you can hear the gas line. It sounds like a jet engine out there. I roll my window down real quick. You can hear it.
Wow. Oh, see, that's crazy. I mean, that's horrible. I mean, that's the kind of thing you don't even realize, that it's not just down trees and power lines, but there's other utilities out there that could be affected. There's other things that could be damaged, and a gas leak is never a good thing either. All right. Hey, thanks so much for your call. We really appreciate it. As you're, if you're traveling around, probably you shouldn't be. You should probably go hunker down somewhere. Definitely, you have no access to the beaches anymore. If you missed it, the beach bridges have all been closed. The Dames Point Bridge is closed. St. Johns County, all of those bridges are closed for the duration now. So, if you're on the beach and you're looking to evacuate, there's no way out. If you're trying to get to the beach for whatever reason, again, those bridges are closed for various reasons and will remain closed throughout the storm for the most part. We will check in with our traffic center. Ariel Wysocki has been working very carefully to get us the latest details. We're going to be checking in again with our Action News Jack's First Alert weather team, who've been getting us all the details that we need. And we are checking constantly with the power outages. I know people are concerned about the maps, and if you have power right now, you are lucky. In Duval County, you're still in the majority, but more and more people are losing power as this storm gets closer and closer. And probably within the next few hours, there will be even more outages. A good portion of the south side still with power. Bay Meadows, south side area, Gate Parkway area. Really, the places that were not in the evacuation zone at all still have the power. And the places as you get closer to the water, no surprise there. As you get closer to the water, you will see that that's where the power outages are. There was a power outage in Mandarin, however, which appears to have been taken off the map. So the good news is the crews are out there working, and they are doing their best to get power back on. We have already experienced a report of one power worker, one JEA worker who was injured. We're not sure to what extent, but that did happen while repairing some power lines in Mandarin. JEA crews, however, will be out restoring power as quickly as possible, and they do say, of course, the safety of their workers and the safety of their equipment is ultimate. That's why they will not be crossing over to the bridges to the beaches area to restore power to those areas, of course, until after the storm or until after it's safe to do so. If you still have power, like I said, again, keep us posted, keep us, informed, send us photos. We can put them on our Facebook page. We can put them on WOKV.com. You can download our mobile app and send us an open mic message. It's 10 seconds of audio that you can give us, and we can then play on the air, and it'll get the information out there as well. Like I said, anything at all that you need, we're going to be here continuing to report as this thing is now just about 75 miles from Jack's Beach. 75 miles from Jack's Beach. Serious flooding from that storm surge already in St. Johns County and St. Augustine. Major devastation, as Mike Burrish called it moments ago. And we're looking for similar flooding and storm surges in the Jacksonville Beach, Atlantic Beach, even Neptune Beach area. So that is all on the way. Again, if you've hunkered down in that area, get to high ground, get to the highest level of whatever building you happen to be in. If you're in some kind of hotel or office building or apartment building complex, go upstairs and meet your upstairs neighbors, because that's where you need to stay. We'll have more information coming up here in just a minute. We'll also check in on all your news and the three big things you need to know. I'm Mark Kay. Quick break. We'll be right back.
When the power goes out, listen here for the information you need, including updates from Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Jacksonville's severe weather station is News 104.5 WOKV.
I'm going to tell you something that is going to shock you, and then you may think you heard it wrong, but you didn't. A recent study by doctors at the prestigious Johns Hopkins School of Medicine concluded that medical errors in hospitals and other healthcare facilities are the third leading cause of death in the United States. 250,000 lives a year, right behind heart disease and cancer. 9% of all deaths a year in America. And that's just the deaths, not the life-lasting injuries that also occur. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. These aren't my figures. These are hard, cold facts. One of the researchers said it boils down to people dying from the care that they receive rather than the disease for which they're seeking care. If you don't believe me, Google it. If you suspect you or a family member are a victim of medical malpractice, visit forthepeople.com. Your gut instincts are usually right on target. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
News 104.5, Jacksonville's 24-hour news, weather, and traffic. The home of the three big things you need to know every 15 minutes. On air, online, and now on every device. With the News 104.5 WOKV app, Jacksonville's news starts now.
Good afternoon. Coming up on 12:30. Happy Hurricane Friday. I'm Christy Turner. Our top story, Matthew is making his presence known. We are just getting pelted with rain, and the wind is whipping out there. It looks like the core of the hurricane, though, will continue to stay offshore for Jacksonville and the local area. Action News Jack's chief meteorologist Mike Burrish says that's really good news from a wind standpoint, but the gusts are still going to be dangerous.
Sustained winds of 40 to 60, perhaps even 65 miles per hour at the beaches, but gusts at hurricane force of 75 to 90 miles per hour. Locally, a 100-mile-an-hour wind gust is still not out of the question. It will drop off the more inland you go, but even the I-95 corridor will see winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour, but gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour.
Near and west of Highway 301, gust may reach 50 miles an hour. The isolated tornado threat will continue. Flooding with very heavy rainfall. We could see 10 inches or more at the coast and 5 inches or more along I-95. And of course, that storm surge remains a concern. Mike says the peak of the hurricane is right now, but he expects St. John's to start improving by 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then about 5 or 6 this evening for Duval. Remember, that's improving. It's not going to be completely clear out just then. More and Talking the Tropics with Mike at WOKV.com.
Breaking news first. This is continuing news from News 104.5 WOKV.
New within the last hour, more bridges are closing on the First Coast as we feel the direct effects of Hurricane Matthew. Ariel Wysocki is live in the traffic center to break down all of the bridge closures.
That's right, Christy. If you are at the beaches again, you're now staying at the beaches. All of the intercoastal bridges are closed, including Beach, Atlantic, Butler, and Wonderwood. The Dames Point Bridge is also closed. And if you're down in St. John's, St. Augustine area, be aware that all of the St. John's bridges are closed, including the Bridge of Lions, Shands, and Palm Valley. And if you're on the Buckman Bridge, just keeping you a heads up that the wind speeds are now 13 miles per hour, remaining pretty consistent. But if you're in Fleming Island, I am seeing wind speeds topping at 26 miles per hour on the Doctors Inlet Bridge. That's very dangerous wind speeds, and you are strongly advised to avoid being on the road at all costs right now. Ariel Wysocki, News 104.5 WOKV.
Team coverage now stopping restoration services east of the Intracoastal. JEA says if you stayed along the coastal areas and your power goes out,
it will not be restored until after the storm or the winds die down.
Jerry Boyce with JEA says they expect widespread outages this afternoon. Right now, I'm seeing more than 39,000 customers without power. 1,500 of those are over at the beaches. And hopefully they'll be all right. A JEA employee was injured Friday while restoring service in Mandarin. The victim was taken to a hospital, will be working to update their condition throughout the day. In St. Augustine, firefighters are doing it, and St. Johns County will likely follow in evacuating some of its fire stations as Hurricane Matthew approaches.
That would apply especially in the coastal areas, according to County Fire Captain Jeremy Robshaw.
At some point during this event, it's highly likely that we will have to pull them back to a safe location as wind speeds do increase.
Should that happen, those crews will likely stage near the foot of the bridges, all of which have now been closed by the Sheriff's Office. Reporting from the St. Johns County Emergency Operations Center, Robert Alonzo, News 104.5 WOKV.
So far, Governor Rick Scott says no one has been hurt or killed by Hurricane Matthew, and he wants to keep it that way.
And look, I hope no one dies. I mean, my goal is that everybody evacuated with it should have.
Scott says some 600,000 people across the state are without power right now. Many of you in Jacksonville and St. Johns County as well. He also mentioned Jacksonville, saying he's particularly concerned for us because of the expected storm surge. Our focus right now is obviously on the storm, but this is something to think about once Matthew leaves our area. One Blood says they will need people to donate blood, especially since they've been forced to close for the storm.
We have to keep in mind that even though we don't get donations, we still have to be responsible for supplying hospitals with transfusions. So this is vitally important.
They say if you have any family on the west coast of Florida, ask them to donate blood if they can. WOKV News Time is 12:34. Winds are howling. Rain is coming down pretty hard. Coming up in the First Alert forecast, the hour-by-hour timeline of Matthew's impacts, and more Marquee next.
The power's out. No internet, no TV. Just a battery-powered radio keeping you connected to urgent recovery details. News 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's 24-hour news, weather, and traffic.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job. It's such a hassle, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
The WOKV First Alert Forecast.
A 1 on the WOKV weather meter. A hurricane warning is in effect. High winds and heavy rain spreading south to north today with temperatures near 80 degrees. High and damaging winds early tonight with heavy rain, then diminishing winds with the rain ending after midnight. Lows near 75. Clearing skies just in time for your weekend. It'll be breezy and mild with highs in the low to mid 80s both Saturday and Sunday. With your First Alert Forecast, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for News 104.5 WOKV.
Now the latest from the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
If you're just tuning in, I'll give you the latest bridge closures. All of the Jax Beach intercoastal bridges are closed, and that includes Beach, Atlantic, Butler, and Wonderwood. Another heads up that the Dames Point Bridge is now closed, likely for the duration of the storm, and all of the St. John's bridges are closed, and this includes Bridge of Lions, Shands, and Palm Valley. Right now, the wind speeds on the Buckman are 13 miles per hour. Doctors Inlet Bridge in Fleming Island, 26 miles per hour, and 11 mile per hour winds on the Fuller Warren heading or leaving downtown. With Jacksonville's most frequent traffic, I'm Ariel Wysocki.
Now, the 3 big things you need to know.
3. The eye of Hurricane Matthew is still to the south of us, but we are all feeling the effects. It's in between Daytona Beach and Palm Coast right now.
2.
In Duval, all of the intercoastal bridges and the Dames Point Bridge are shut down. You just heard Ariel Wysocki talk about it there.
1.
And more than 39,000 JEA customers are without power right now. Florida Power and Light says nearly 29,000 are without power in St. Johns County. It's 12:37. I'm Christy Turner.
You're listening to Storm Center team coverage of Hurricane Matthew on Jacksonville's severe weather station. News 104.5 WOKV.
This is Mark Kay in for Rich Jones, and we are broadcasting live. We've got all sorts of updates on Matthew and what's going on with the hurricane as it gets closer and closer to our area. It's still about 75 miles from Jacksonville Beach, passing right along St. Augustine, where the largest storm surges have been so far, and more and more power outages. In fact, I just got a text from my wife saying the power went out at our house. So if you're on the south side, you're going to start seeing more and more power outages, power popping in and out, and basically JEA crews will be working as much as they can. They will be working as much as they can to basically get a power restored. But they're saying, until the storm is over, they're not going to go anywhere near the beaches. And in the other areas, hopefully, they'll be able to get power back on as quickly as possible. Some areas have already lost power, gotten power back, and then lost it again. Again, with the winds and the rain, you are going to have more and more of these outages as the storm gets closer and closer to Jacksonville. We will keep you updated. We will check in here in just a minute with our First Alert weather team, the First Alert weather team over at Action News Jax, and we'll get the latest information from them as far as what to expect. But the big story right now is St. Augustine and the St. John's area, the St. John's River. St. Augustine basically flooded.
549-6400. That's 904-549-6400.
Can you imagine your taxes doubling? It's not crazy. The Congressional Budget Office predicts that all tax rates must double to pay the $20 trillion in national debt. That means going from 25 to over 50% taxes. Think of how doubling taxes will affect your retirement income coming out of 401ks and IRAs. And it doesn't seem to matter whether Democrats or Republicans are in charge. They all love to spend. And this is the reason taxes are a huge retirement risk. Yet many people are still using accounts fully taxed in retirement, like 401ks and IRAs. In my book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, I share what's been called the single biggest benefit left in the tax code to create cash flow that's not taxed in retirement. The wealthy have been using it for years, yet many people have never heard of it, and many CPAs don't use it. Call now to speak with a specialist and get a free copy of my book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, to discover this after-tax retirement option. Plus, when you call right now, you get a free copy of the audiobook so you can listen while you drive. We even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call 800-239-0101. 1-800-239-0101. That's 1-800-239-0101.
My favorite part about Q&A with JEA every Saturday at 1 right here on WOKV is hearing from you, the listener.
First of all, I want to thank JEA for keeping our electric rates low, lowest throughout Florida, and I appreciate that as a consumer. And also the great job you guys have been doing about keeping the trees cut, so that when we do have something coming on, like with Hermine or something, it's more likely we're going to keep the power on. I appreciate that very much.
Q&A with JEA right here on News 104.5 WOKV every Saturday at 1.
Florida is a sunshine state. So let's give solar power the green light with Amendment 1. Amendment 1 is good for the environment, good for consumers, good for Florida. It guarantees your right to generate your own solar energy. By placing that right in Florida's Constitution, it keeps the politicians and the special interests from messing with it. Amendment 1 does solar the right way. Common sense consumer protections. No unfair subsidies. Giving you protection from the politicians. It's clear, simple, and straightforward. And that's the right way to do solar. Solar power for the Sunshine State. Vote yes on Amendment 1 for the sun. Paid political advertisement paid for by Consumers for Smart Solar. 2640A Mitcham Drive, Tallahassee, Florida 32308.
WOKV First Alert Forecast.
Heavy rain and high winds spreading south to north as Matthew makes its closest approach. As we go through this afternoon and evening, a hurricane warning is in effect. It's a 1 on the WOKV weather meter with temperatures around 80 degrees. The highest winds and heaviest rain will end this evening from south to north, and temperatures dropping into the mid-70s. Clearing, breezy, and mild for your Saturday. We'll have highs into the low to mid-80s and a good-looking Sunday with sunshine and high temperatures between 80 and 85. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jack's Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for News 104.5 WOKV.
Now the latest from the Safe Touch Security Traffic Center.
Just another update on those bridge closures. All of the Jacks Beach bridges are closed, including Beach, Atlantic, Butler, and Wonderwood Intracoastals. And if you're in Arlington, the Dames Point Bridge is also closed, along with all St. John, St. Augustine bridges, including Bridge of Lions, Shands, and Palm Valley Road. And a quick update on those increasing wind speeds for the bridges that are still open. In Fleming Island, still seeing wind speeds of 26 miles per hour on the Doctor's Inlet, 13 on the Buckman, and if you're downtown, I'm seeing 11 miles per hour on the Fuller Warren, and fluctuating speeds of 15 to 17 miles per hour on the Acosta, Main Street, Hart, and Matthews bridges. With Jacksonville's most frequent traffic, I'm Ariel Wysocki.
This is continuing team coverage of Hurricane Matthew on News 104.5 WOKV.
And I'm Mark Kay, and I'm sitting here for Rich Jones. He'll be back momentarily to bring you the latest on Matthew. As we just heard there, the bridge is closed. As we heard from our friends at Action News Jax, the weather is going to continue to deteriorate a little bit as we get closer and closer, as this eye, but rather, of Hurricane Matthew gets closer and closer to Jacksonville. And the time frame's still the same, between 3 and 5, the worst of it. Then it starts to, kind of taper off by midnight. It's just some light rain, and the winds will be kind of dying down. The good news is, as it comes in earlier, we won't be in the pitch black of night when this hurricane's hitting us. So that is a little bit of a positive. I know a lot of people have kind of been in the dark all day anyway because of the power outages. It looks like JEA in Duval County still holding tight for a lot of customers. A few thousand people out of power. There are new outages popping up here and there sporadically, and the crews are prepared. The crews are out there. We already do, unfortunately, have an incident where one of the JEA crew members has been injured. Fixing in Mandarin, so they are definitely going to be taking their time. Their safety of their employees are going to be their number one issue. The safety of their employees is what they're going to be looking for, the safety of their equipment so that nothing gets damaged, and they will be able to eventually bring power to everybody. But again, patience is the most important thing here. As long as you're safe, you can miss MacGyver or whatever's on tonight. I don't even know. Listen, we're going to take another check on traffic and weather, and we're going to get the news for you here in just a minute. If you need to get in touch with us, we would love to have you on the air. 340-1045 is the number. This is one of those instances where we can give you a lot of information. You can also give us a lot of information, too. And there's several ways to do that. Contact us through Twitter and Facebook. You can download our mobile app and send us an open mic message. And, of course, just pick up the phone and call 340-1045. Give us a live report of what's happening in your area. My name's Mark Kay. You're listening to News 104.5 WOKV. We'll be right back.
Join our Storm Center team. Download the News 104.5 app. Tap the open mic button, press record, and tell us the weather conditions in your area. This is Storm Center team coverage on News 104.5 WOKV.
Wakeoff's AC brings you the 5-day forecast. When your AC breaks, they get there fast.
Football season is when we're cheering on our favorite teams, the exciting rush of a touchdown, nothing like it. It's Rich Jones. When you buy and save on a premium pre-owned from Arlington Toyota, you're going to feel a rush. You're going to feel like you scored a game-winning touchdown. The used selection at Arlington is like the Primo draft pick on pre-owned. All the makes and models of premium pre-owned selection, over 140 Toyota certified pre-owned vehicles in stock, which means you're buying an amazing pre-owned. It's passed a 160-point quality assurance inspection for your total confidence. If you need to sell or trade, Arlington's going to buy your car today, guaranteed. Get an instant quote at ArlingtonToyota.com. This football season, score a big win all your own when you save big on an amazing pre-owned purchase from Arlington Toyota, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and ArlingtonToyota.com. You see so many Arlington tags on the roads because they paid so little. Don't miss the Arlington Toyota Kids Fitness Zombie Chase, October 22nd. Visit KidsFitnessZombieChase.com.
News 104.5, Jacksonville's 24-hour news, weather, and traffic. The home of the 3 big things you need to know every 15 minutes. On air, online, and now on every device. With the News 104.5 WOKV app, Jacksonville's news starts now.
Good afternoon. Coming up on 101, I'm Christy Turner. Our top story, it is finally here. Hurricane Matthew making its way up the First Coast, and Action News Jack's chief meteorologist Mike Burris says the worst is yet to come.
The winds as well pick up dramatically from about the east beltway of 295 to the beaches with hurricane-force wind gusts and sustained tropical storm winds, and those peaks will be between about noon today and midnight tonight.
The beaches will see the worst of it, with waves breaking beyond the dunes along with big-time flooding. Winds along the coast could gust up to 100 miles an hour, and rain is also going to be a big factor. Duval is now under a flash flood warning until 6:15 p.m. Stay tuned here to WOKV throughout the day and check the latest path of the storm on Mike's Talk in the Tropics blog at WOKV.com.
Breaking news first. This is continuing news from News 104.5 WOKV.
Matthew is bearing down, and that means conditions are quickly deteriorating.
I'm in downtown St. Augustine right now, looking at the Castillo de San Marcos, and everything in front of it is flooded. The entire bayfront of St. Augustine is flooded. We were not able to go through with our vehicle. We had to turn around. We're seeing a lot of wind as well, some very strong gusts at times. I have seen some first responders making the rounds, making sure people are making good decisions. I'm CBS 47 Fox 30 Action News Jax reporter Lorena Inclan for News 104.5 WOKV.
If you're planning to ride out Matthew at home, JSO has 2 words for you.
Hunker down.
And Sheriff Mike Williams says that means making a few last-minute preps.
Make sure you have your flashlights at a place where you know where they are, your radios with battery backups. You don't want to be looking for these things when the power goes out and it's pitch black.
Now, if you're in an area that should have evacuated before Matthew got here, JSO is asking you to just stay put. Do not put yourself in danger. Working around the clock to keep you comfortable.
We have been able to get out and do some work overnight when it's been safe to do so, and we've been reconnecting customers along the way. But we do know there's still a lot of work to do, and this storm is still powerful.
Chris McGrath with Florida Power and Light says they have 15,000 workers stationed up and down the East Coast to help with any outages when it's safe to do so. He says crews can respond in between bands of severe weather. FPLE provides service for St. Johns County, and I just checked the map, and they have more than 33,000 customers affected. The streets are getting emptier, and after mandatory evacuations were issued in Nassau, St. Johns, and Duval counties, it looks like people are taking it seriously.
My friends that have been in Florida most of their life, they were going to stick it out and hunker down, and they've ended up leaving.
That woman from Atlantic Beach tells us she's evacuated as well. And with more than 1 million people in Florida ordered to evacuate, it was a tough task for many finding a hotel.
Well, I checked for a hotel room, and there's nothing, so nothing under $300 a night. I mean, they were twice the rates that they normally charge, but so here we are.
Checking hotels in the area, and a majority of them are completely sold out. With more than 2,300 animals to care for, the Jacksonville Zoo isn't taking any chances during Matthew. They plan to have 20 of their staff members at the zoo throughout the storm to keep the animals safe. The zoo tells us their Land of the Tiger exhibit was built with storms in mind, but they are worried about some of the other buildings, as well as the front gates.
My friends that have been in Florida most of their life, They were going to stick it out and hunker down, and they've ended up leaving.
You just heard that woman there from Atlantic Beach, one of the many who ended up evacuating. Not everyone, though, made that same choice. This man says he's going to ride out the storm in Volano Beach despite the orders to leave.
I've been called a lot by a lot of my people and all want me to leave and all, but I wanted to stay here and look after my things and see if I can be of assistance when time comes. I know it's going to be rough out here.
He tells us he knows of roughly 100 people who plan to stick around in the area. WOKV news time is 1:05. I hope everyone's safe out there. A 1 on the WOKV weather meter today. All eyes on Hurricane Matthew. Coming up, how long conditions are expected to deteriorate for. And Rich Jones continues our hurricane special next.
You're listening to Storm Center team coverage of Hurricane Matthew with updates from the National Hurricane Center and Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Jacksonville's severe weather station is News 104.5 WOKV.